Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk about a perfect 6-album run from one of my favourite bands at the moment that I've kind of gotten into in the past sort of year and a half. I always sort of thought of them as a bit of a joke at first. I always kind of used to take the piss out of them a little bit, right? And I remember one time I thought, right, I'm going to sit down and actually going to listen to one of their albums because I'm taking the piss out of them all the time. But I never really gave them a solid chance. And that band that I keep referring to as them is it's called Dream Theater, right? So I always saw them as sort of like wheedly wee, wankery sort of nonsense kind of music, right? Where it's all about technical efficiency, technical, affluence rather than, any kind of artistic expression, right? And I was always kind of like, it's just mindless shredding. I'd rather listen to someone like David Gilmour do like notes where they actually matter, or someone like Mark Ollis where notes are placed where they're meant to be, rather than just chucking a load of notes in and expecting the results to be better music, right? And I remember I sat down and I listened to the album Systematic Chaos, right? And I found I really enjoyed it. Right, particularly the song Repentance, right, which is the song that managed to sort of get me into the band wholesale, right. It's a very accessible song for them because it's quite slow, it's quite clean, it's not too metal, it's not too wankery, but it does showcase their technical proficiency, and it also kind of shows that they're able to have a bit of diversity with their sound, right, because look, while they do a lot of the same thing across their 16 albums, I do think that they have a nice range of, ballads and, really fast songs, really slow, sludgy songs, fast solos, more melodic sort of things. They've got a nice range. And today I wanted to talk about their 6-album run, which is Metropolis Part 2, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, Train of Thought, Octavarium, Systematic Chaos, and Black Clouds and Silver Linings. That last one is one album where "and" is part of the title. It's not that there's two. It's not a 7-album run with one album called Black Clouds and another called Silver Linings. But look, you already know this because if you're watching a video like this, you already know what Dream Theater is. You already listen to this stuff on repeat, and you want to hear someone else talk about the thing you like and say the words that you like. Oh, I don't know. This Dying Soul. You want me to name songs that you like and say, oh, that bit about 6 minutes in where it's got the drums, that sounds really good. That's what you want from a video like this. So that's what I'm going to deliver to you right now. So we're going to go through each of the albums. I'm going to try and do it from memory, right? And try and not call onto Wikipedia or anything like that for this. This is all based on my memory. So I might get some things wrong, and I think that might be part of the appeal of this as well. Trying to see what's gotten right and what's gotten wrong, So first off, we're going to do Metropolis Part 2, which I have to admit is probably my least favourite of all of these. It's their most classic album. It's probably their most successful album, apart from Images and Words. But I'd say it's meant to be their best album, right? And it is a really good album, don't get me wrong. I love particularly the first half of it, and the second half, actually. I love the whole album, but I do find that in parts it starts to drag for me, right? I feel like the first couple songs took a long time for me to really get into. Strange Deja Vu, that took me a long time to sort of understand, but it's in the Lydian mode, so it's one of my favourite modes of music, and after falling in love with the mode, I went back to the song, and then I fell in love with the song by proxy of the Lydian mode being my favourite mode of music, with that raised fourth. I really love the sound of it, and it's such a natural sound for this song as well. The sort of the riff, like da 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 da, like that. It sounds really natural, and it doesn't feel like they just made it in Lydian for the sake of making it Lydian, for the sake of making something in a weird key, which they do sometimes fall into. Then you've got the little piano thing, which is its own song. I don't entirely know why it's just its own song, when really it's kind of the intro to, I forgot the name of it, but it's got the really crazy section at the end that I really like. And it's got that kind of, almost circus act kind of bit, where it's like, dun, da, dun, da, dun, da. It almost sounds like the Willy Wonka, the fucking, what are the leprechaun things called in that? Oompa Loompas. It almost sounds like Oompa Loompa music, but to metal, but in a good way. I can't remember. I have to admit, Metropolis is the one that I know the least of. So already audience retention is in the dirt because I've forgotten most of it, right? There's Beyond This Life, which I have to admit, I don't love that much. I like the live version where there's I like the live at Budokan version where they have that long jam in the middle of it with this sort of interplay between Jordan Rudess and Mike Portnoy, the keyboardist and the drummer, where they do this kind of back and forth sort of thing where Jordan will do this sort of like, and then Mike Portnoy will go like that, and that sounds really satisfying. You know, and it sort of really strips itself back and then slowly builds up and up and up and up, and then the final section of the song hits and makes it all the more satisfying. And it extends the song by a solid 7 minutes, but it's worth it, right? Yeah. Then you've got Home, which you got the ballad in the middle. I think it's called Beyond Her Eyes or Beyond These Eyes, something like that. These eyes, not Pale Blue Eyes. That's Lou Reed. It's something to do with eyes, right? But it's a very soft thing, and it's got this really nice acoustic feel to it with this really satisfying thump from a kick drum playing in the solo. It sounds really perfect, right? And I really, really like it. And then you got Home, which I think is the first like traditionally kind of Dream Theater-ish sort of song that got me into them. I remember being at the gym and listening to this album, Metropolis, and sort of, I felt like I was going to turn it off, right? And then Home came on with that sort of wow, wow, do 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 wow, wow thing. I really liked that, and that really got me to stick around. Then it kind of, after that wow, wow bit, the actual verses, I don't love. The choruses are good, but I don't really like the verses with the really stripped back riff. I just think the riff's a little bit sort of heavy in the sort of sense that you've just eaten 8 slices of bread, right? Rather than it being heavy like that. It's more sort of heavy like, if that makes sense. And the song is so long and it does it so much. And then there's that long bit in the middle with all the sex noises, which, yeah, okay. And then you've got that really cool sort of Arabic sounding thing towards the end. The whole album is about, I can't remember exactly how the story goes, but it's, from what I gather, there's a woman called Victoria, right? I think Victoria, she's a bit peaky anyway, right? She's not feeling great. She's not having a great time of life, right? I think she's a bit depressed and all that. She's walking around, right? And then she gets murdered and she goes to the afterlife, right? Which I sort of see in Beyond This Life as being like this big blue cave that she's at the precipice of. And then the song is like her going into the darkness of the cave. And then you got another fella who I can't remember the name of. He's trying to solve the murder. He's trying to figure out what was going on there. So I think he solves the murder and then sort of goes, sad that. And then he gets on with his life. So that's Metropolis Part 2. There's a Fatal Tragedy. That was the name of the song I couldn't remember with the really crazy section and the circus bit. So that was the name of the song. And then you've got, there's another couple ballads in the second half of the song after Dance of Eternity, which is probably their most infamously complicated song, which I really like. There's a really good video on YouTube of a guy that's rapping over the whole song, and he raps with every single time signature change and melody and rhythmic change. It's really satisfying. Whether you like the rap or not, I just think it's really interesting. I'd like to see more stuff like that in rap. I'd love to see progressive rap be a genre. I've always said that. I love the idea of more rap invoking, really embracing the instrumental side of things. So I feel like one of the big problems with rap, as a white fella just sort of coming on, just being like, the problem with rap is they don't use enough instruments. But I do feel like there could be more like, solos and stuff. And guitar bits. And why aren't there more rappers that know how to play guitar? There's a few of them, but I'd love to see, how cool would it fucking be if you, I don't know, Travis Scott, right? He's known for his good beats, right? Imagine he gets on stage and he plays Sicko Mode, right? And he adds a guitar solo on it. So he's doing his rapping like, rapping, right? Down, 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 like that. How sick would that be? Probably not very, because I'm kind of the antithesis of cool, but that's what I think would be cool, right? I mean, I'm doing this in a fucking video about how I like Dream Theater. I'm not cool, am I? So the next album after that fucking mess of a critique, analysis, retrospective is 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, which most people know it for the 42-minute title track, which I don't see it as a 42-minute song, I've got to be totally honest, because to me, it's like 8 or 9 5-minute songs, right? It doesn't feel like, say, Octavarium or something like that, where it's a complete thing, or like Change of Seasons, where it feels like a complete thing. It feels like a summary of parts. It feels like a medley, right? But not a complete one. It feels like different bits coming together. And that's not a criticism of it. If it was a single LP, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, the song, as an LP, as an album, would really work. But it's not. It's one side of a two-disc CD. And I really like the first disc a lot more. I like 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, the song for the Test song. And I like the 2 songs after that. The one, I think it's, because it's all about different mental illnesses. And I think the one I'm thinking of that I really like, it's the one before the acoustic-y one, and it's about autism, where it's like about this boy in school and he feels like he's a bit weird. I like that one, I related to that one, because I was sort of like that in school. I was a bit weird in school and not really, I hadn't found my place or anything like that, so, you know. But in my own head, I was totally fine, but people didn't really relate to me in that kind of way. So I related to that song quite a lot. It's my favourite moment of the album, actually, that song. I would call it a song, not a section. But then the first disc, I do think overall the first disc is more cohesive and better. You got the Glass Prison, which kicks off the 12-step suite that Mike Portnoy wrote about his alcohol addiction, which is a really good suite. I listened to it all the time when I was in my first few weeks of quitting drinking. I listened to it on repeat. I loved that suite. And it starts off with the Glass Prison, which is this 14-minute long metal, just like that. There's no quiet sections, there's no light sections. It's all heavy as fuck, right? It also has this really weird bit at like 4.5 minutes in, where they do something that's very clearly like a chorus, but they only do it once, and it's really at a strange point in the song where it feels like it is a chorus, right? In any other song, that would be the chorus, but I don't think it is. So, take me to my glass prison, the place that I belong. Like that, right? And then it does this crazy instrumental section. It also does this weird bit with a wacka 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 vinyl DJ thing, like, and then they've got the thing that they usually do, which is having fast drums with a riff, and then keep the riff and do slow drums, like. And the riff's staying the same, but it's the drums that are changing. It's always satisfying when they do that. That goes into a few sort of underrated songs after that. You've got Blind Faith, and then you've got Misunderstood, and you've got The Great Debate. Those 3 songs are all fantastic, right? And they don't get much of a look in, right? People sort of forget they exist. Blind Faith sounds like Tool, I'm going to be honest. It sounds exactly like Tool. But I like Tool, and I like Dream Theater's interpretation of what Tool is. People always have a go at Dream Theater for ripping off Muse, but I think in that moment they were ripping off Tool, like quite a lot. With the heaviness, like that. It does sound a bit like Tool, but it is a good song. I do feel like the chorus in Blind Faith could be better. I don't love the chorus, it sounds a little bit lame. But everything else in the song is fantastic, particularly the ending. When it sort of slows itself down, it has this really nice, quiet ending. It's a very moody song. And then Misunderstood is almost like a happy version of Blind Faith in terms of structure. Really get great lyrics about being misunderstood, and just a really great song in general. Although I will say Misunderstood is it's a 7-minute song that's masquerading as a 10-minute song, because there's fucking 2 minutes of just like guitar screeching, right, that fades out, right, and then you feel like the song's coming to an end. It's like, okay, great, and then it fades back in. It's like, why did you do that? Because they're doing this kind of chordal sort of dissonant sort of thing with these strings that don't feel quite in tune with everything else. They're kind of like down, 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 like that, right? And they're obviously doing an experiment, and the experiment's working for a bit. It doesn't work for as long as they do it, right? So Misunderstood, I turn it off after 7 minutes and I get rid of the last bit. because it all sounds good, but it goes on for way too long. And then it goes into the great debate, which is all about stem cell research, which was a big topic in the early 2000s. Controversial thing, and Dream Theater's done their own little spin on it. So it's a very good song. I really like it. I do feel like it overstays its welcome. I also feel like James LaBrie never shuts the fuck up during the song. It's like we're waiting for an instrumental and it just never comes. And then when it does come, it's not that satisfying because it's not that good an instrumental for how long James was fucking singing. There's also the bit which is like, take life to save life. Take life to save life. That bit. It's good, right? It is good. But they introduce it quite late into the song. They introduce it at like the 6-minute mark, and then they do it like 3 times in a row. Like that section where it's that, and then there's a little bit that leads up to it. They basically repeat that. And I don't know why they did that. They just keep doing verses and choruses and verses and choruses and verses and choruses, but they never do the actual like song. It never feels like a complete thing. It feels like a thesis to a backing track. So I do really like the song, but I get sick of it after a little bit. So that's and it also doesn't feel like, because it's nearly as long as some of their best songs, like In the Name of God, which we'll be talking about soon. But it never goes anywhere with it. And then we got Disappear, which is the shortest song on the album. It's 7 minutes long, which I just think is fucking great. It's the shortest song and it's 7 minutes long. And this is a 100-minute record with only 6 songs on it. That is fantastic, right? But yeah, Disappear is a really moody, it's like Blind Faith, the sound, but on crack. Just take it all the way into more depressing and miserable territory. Really great song. I think it's their ballad on the album. I would consider it, and it's fantastic. It's a really great song. Can't recommend it enough. Although that said, I don't have a vast amount to say about it. So that's 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, which I have to admit is possibly my least favourite of the albums in the 6-album run. I know I felt like I said that about Metropolis, but I guess really my favourite part of this 4-album run is about to start now with Train of Thought. Train of Thought is billed as just being a pure heavy album because apparently The Glass Prison was really successful, and Mike Portnoy was like, right, we need to do more like that, so let's do a whole album of The Glass Prison. So that's what they do. They do a whole album of The Glass Prison, and it really works. So we start off with As I Am, which is just Metallica. This time, instead of ripping off Tool, they're ripping off Metallica, which is fine. They do a good job at ripping off Metallica. I mean, what's the song that they do? It's not Hollow Years, it's Off Falling Into Infinity, but they when they play it live, they just started playing the riff to Enter Sandman at the end. And it works. They managed to make it work with the song. So, you know, more power to them. They wear their influences on their sleeves, you know, and I don't mind that because they've got a unique sound in and of themselves. So when they incorporate other sounds into it, to me, it's interesting, right? So yeah, Train of Thought starts with As I Am, which is really simple, clean, classic Dream Theater song. It's just a nice sort of slowish one, mid-tempo, metal, really good, sort of decent. Very, very Black Album, Load, Reload era Metallica. Really good song, right? With a really good satisfying bit of guitar feedback at the end that sounds really clean. They must have done so many takes of that. That leads into This Dying Soul and one of the strangest transitions from bit to bit. Like, it's obviously coming off of transitioning from The Glass Prison, but it just, you know, you got As I Am, which sort of fades itself out nice and slowly, right? And then it's just like, it's almost just like cut, and then it just goes bum, 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 like that. That's how it cuts. So on the album, it's a really weird listening experience, but when you listen to the 12-step suite as its own thing, it really works the transition. But in the album, it doesn't work. And yeah, This Dying Soul, I think it starts a lot better, and I feel like it falls off around the 6 sort of minute mark, and then it picks itself back up around the 9-minute mark for that crazy outro, which then leads you into Endless Sacrifice, which I think really Endless Sacrifice should have been, I think swap This Dying Soul and Endless Sacrifice around on the album. I think that makes more sense. So yeah, that's, yeah, do it better this time, nerds, right? So yeah, Endless Sacrifice, fantastic song that starts off kind of clean. Only bit I don't really like about Endless Sacrifice is the very new metal, very of the time trendy chorus. It just sounds very new metal to me. I don't particularly like the choruses, particularly the way that they come out of these sort of softer passages into that. To me, doesn't entirely work. But it's got the really great mid-song section where they do this really crazy sort of electro kind of classic thing. Like Jordan Rudess, he likes to fuck around and do a little comical bit on every album. So this is that moment, right? And it really works. And then after that, you got Honor Thy Father, which I would say is my favourite song on the album, if not for one, which you're probably going to know what it is. Honor Thy Father is fantastic all the way through. I love Honor Thy Father. And the only thing I'd improve on it, right, is I think it could be about 40 seconds shorter, right? It starts off fantastic, introduces all its riffs really well, and then first verse is really good. I think maybe the rap bit, I like the rap bit, but I prefer the versey stuff. So if they'd done more versey stuff, because the verses are really, really good, but they only do 2 of them in the song. I would love more of that, right? It's weird how like the Great Debate has so many verses that don't sound all that great. But Honor Thy Father has so few verses and they sound so good, right? Swap that around, guys, seriously. I know it's been 20 years, but you can do it. You can do it in the cut. So yeah, Honor Thy Father I really like. I think it's about Mike Portnoy's stepdad, who he doesn't like very much. But I think they get on now. I think they sort of said, right, yeah, don't worry about it. But could you imagine your stepson making a song about how shit you are? It's got some really good lines in it. Like there's one about something about an imaginary bloodline that only you can see that's really like stirring up and worrying you. And I can just sort of, from that, I immediately know what the stepdad's insecurities are, you know, of being the new member of the family, whilst also taking on this sort of role of trying to raise the kids. It works really well. Then you've got Vacant, which is the ballad of the album. Really slow, somber piano and strings ballad. Really beautiful, really, really dark and miserable, right? Really moody. And then it goes into, I forgot the name of the song, but I know it. I know what it is. It's the 10-minute instrumental thing that's really good. But it continues from Vacant, right? And it uses the ideas that were in Vacant to make its own 10-minute ridiculous prog metal jam. With this midsection that sounds sort of sludgy, but also reminds me of the Spider-Man game for PlayStation 1. I think there's a boss battle with Mysterio where they play something that sounds a lot like that. Or maybe it was earlier on where Spider-Man's getting chased by the police, because I think Dr. Octopus killed J. Jonah Jameson, something like that, and then the police were like, Spider-Man, you're responsible for this. And he's like, no, I'm not. So yeah, you got all of that. Stream of Conscious, that's it, yeah. And then after Stream of Conscious, right, you've got In the Name of God. And this is another weird thing with the track list. I feel like the track listing for Train of Thought is all wrong, because it goes from one outro on Stream of Consciousness, right, which is, it finishes with like dun 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 dun, with an electric guitar, clean fingerpicky thing, right? And then it goes into In the Name of God, which starts with a very similar sounding but slightly different, clean electric guitar fingerpicky section. And it doesn't blend, it doesn't mesh, right? So why are you doing the track list like this? It doesn't make any fucking sense, right? So here's how I would do it, right? As I Am, right? Endless Sacrifice, right? Then you can do Train of Thought after Endless Sacrifice or after This Dying Soul, right? Do it after those, right? Then do Vacant and then end on Stream of Consciousness. Because Stream of Consciousness ends in a way that feels right for the album. But then obviously they have this thing where they want to do like album to album, the sounds go into the next thing. And the next song, In the Name of God, has it concludes on a really strange dissonant kind of chord in the key of F sharp, right? Really strange chord. It's like it does resolve a tiny little bassy kind of F sharp note, singular, just to resolve it right there and then, so you're not left kind of feeling like blue ball by it. But this, In the Name of God, is I think the song that made me fall in love with the band, because I was listening to the Live at Budokan version and I was liking what was going on. And this is my first experience seeing them live in a video, right, and actually getting a sense of who the band actually were. I was kind of surprised that there was only 5 of them. I thought that it was going to be one of those sort of bands that had like loads and loads of members and like a big like backing band and choir and all this sort of stuff. No, it's only 5 of them. Yeah, and you know, you kind of I started off by seeing John Myung, bassist, like, you know, sort of Asian and really long hair with a 6-string bass. That's an image in of itself. And then John Petrucci, at the time, he had like a sort of a nu metal kind of short bleached hair. So that was kind of a weird look. And then James LeBrie, he's wearing like more of a florally sort of thing. And he reminded me of, what's his name that did I Will Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That. Meathead, meat man, something to do with meat. I would do anything for love, but I wouldn't do that. It reminds me of him, right? I can't remember his name, but that's who he reminded me of, right? With the way he was singing and the way the instrumentals were going on, but it sounded like that on Crack. And yeah, In the Name of God's fantastic. No notes on that one at all. I think if you like the idea of Dream Theater, but you think it might be a bit too wanky for you, listen to In the Name of God. And if the instrumental section at 9 minutes, if that is too wanky for you, then the band is too wanky for you. If you can listen to that section, then you can listen to the wankiest fucking things that they do on shit like A Dramatic Turn of Events or Metropolis Part 1 on Images and Words. You can listen to any of that, because none of it will be as wanky as that section on In the Name of God. Then after that, we've got Octavarium, right? And I'm getting a bit sicker during this video, because I'm going to kind of speed this up a little bit, because I realise this is going on for fucking ages, right? So Octavarium is kind of known as a one-song wonder, but I don't necessarily agree with that. Octavarium is the 24-minute song, which is probably their equivalent to something like Echoes by Pink Floyd or Supper's Ready by Genesis. It's the 24-minute song. It's the epic that they have, right? And but the rest of the album is really good. You've got Sacrifice Sons, which I always joke that it's just a Canadian man raps about 9/11, right? I find that being quite fun. And then you've got Panic Attack, which is fantastic. A lot of people say that it's a rip-off of Muse, but the only section that it's kind of got that is like the I try to hide, da da da. It's like that, where he's invoking the fella from Muse's vocal stylings. But the song itself sounds nothing like Muse, in my opinion. The song Never Enough sounds like Muse though, so yeah, take it from that what you will. Never Enough's okay, it's not great. Shit like Never Enough is why people think that Octavarium is a one-song wonder, and I think it's got 5 songs that are good, right? It's got the first one, which I can't remember the name of, something to do with harvesting. It's the next thing on the 12-step suite, right? I can't remember the fucking name of it. So that one, right? Then you got These Walls, right? Then you got Panic Attack. Then you got Sacrifice Sons. Then you got Octavarium. And I've even grown to like I Walk Beside You, right? Which is their short little song that's kind of a U2 ripoff. I don't like U2, but I do like I Walk Beside You, although I do wish the chorus wasn't this happy clappy, like sort of majory thing. The verses are really, really good. They're really, really good. And if they'd done something more interesting with that verse section, they could have made a genuinely really good song, but they didn't, so whatever. Then Octavarium, it's a fantastic song. Starts off with Jordan Rudess doing this really long kind of atmospheric thing on the keyboards that then brings you into an acoustic passage that really sets the mood. It's really one of my favourite prog rock epics of all time, Octavarium. It's up there. In fact, sometimes it surpasses Echoes by Pink Floyd for me in terms of quality. Sometimes I actually prefer Octavarium. That's how much I like Octavarium, because to get me to say that, you've got to do something really, really right. But to me, there is nothing wrong with Octavarium in any capacity. All of these songs, I always feel like there's something I would change here or there. Octavarium is perfect all the way through. No notes whatsoever, right? It also concludes their little experiment of like doing, I think it started with Metropolis, or maybe it started with 6 Degrees, where they would sort of, one album would lead into the next. So they decided to make Octavarium like a sort of self-looping thing, similar to like Nonagon Infinity by King Gizzard. They kind of made it like that, just so they could stop this like one album leads into the next thing, which I think was a mistake, because I think it was a good way of doing albums, because after that I feel like they lost a lot of motivation. With Systematic Chaos, right, it does feel like they're at the bottom of the well, right, because they've been putting out one album every 2 years, double albums every 2 years, so realistically they're putting out an album a year equivalent of, and this music is really packed to the brim with ideas, changing notes all the time, changing ideas all the time. Each song has like 50 sections, whereas most, only have a couple. So I find that with Systematic Chaos, they kind of lost their touch a little bit. They kind of stopped figuring out what it was they were doing, right? But that's not to say that Systematic Chaos isn't a good album. It's got Repentance on it, which is the song that got me really into them. It's got the In the Presence of Enemies thing, which is what got me into them. It's got all of these songs that are really fantastic, really accessible. It's a good, solid album, I would say. I think my favourite song on it now is the Ministry of Lost Souls, which feels a little bit like they're trying to do In the Name of God again, but they managed to make it work. There's one bit on the Ministry of Lost Souls that I like the sound of, but it fucks me up a little bit. It's about 8 minutes in, when the guitars and the drums are so syncopated that like it fucks my body up a little bit. Like my heart rate feels like it's trying to match the tune of songs that I listen to, right? And when that happens, it sort of hurts me a little bit. I don't know how to explain it, but I used to get heart palpitations around the time that I got into this band. So like I always sort of skip that moment. But I love the song though. It's so annoying that I have to skip that bit. So if someone could edit that bit out, I'd really appreciate that. I think you know the bit I mean, because it's near the start of the Crazy Jam, when it sort of strips itself back and then it brings in Jordan Rudess on the keyboards. There's also one bit in that song that annoys me, because John Petrucci, is doing a guitar solo, and there's one bit where he's kind of falling into this repetitive like diddle 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 diddle, and it feels like he wants to do it a bit more and turn it into a thing that sounds like it'd be really good and make that the focal point, but he stops. He does like diddle 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 like that, and it just doesn't work anymore. I feel like he did that at the wrong moment. But then it goes into this really beautiful unison moment. I think the best unison between Jordan Rudess and John Petrucci that they've ever done. It's like I'm just doodling it, and I'm kind of exposing that this is kind of a widdly wee prog rock wank band, but yeah, it sounds fucking amazing. And then it goes into this really interesting final guitar solo, which is very repetitive, but each time it repeats, it goes up a half step. So I think the idea is that it can't technically resolve, so it fades itself out, which kind of leads into what the song's all about, which is about, I think, someone dying in a car crash, which leads quite well into the next album, and the final album we'll be talking about, which is before Mike Portnoy left the band, which is Black Clouds and Silver Linings, which I think most people would recognise the album cover with the elephant as sort of go like, their album covers are fucking shit. That's just me saying that. Their album covers are fucking awful. The only one that's halfway decent is Octavarium, and I think that's by accident, right? Because you look at the back of Octavarium, the CD, and it's just this fucking woman dodging one of the little pendulum things. It looks atrocious, and I don't know why they keep hiring Hugh Syme. He's such a shit artist. He always has been as well. You look at some of his work with Rush, right? Hemispheres, it's a shit album cover. All of his work is fucking awful, and the only time he ever makes something good is by accident, right? I fucking hate his art. It's shit. It's so bad. I don't like Andy Warhol particularly either. It's all of that sort of stuff. It's, you know that kind of right-wing thing of like, oh, all modern art is awful. Like, look at this statue here, it's cool. Look at this statue here, it's cool. And then look at this banana sellotape to a wall. That's what Hugh Syme is to me. He's a banana sellotape to a fucking wall, and I hate him, right? Anyway, I really like the band, so I look past all of that, right? So Black Clouds and Silver Linings, right? Starts off, it's all long songs, pretty much, right? Bar one. So yeah, we start off with A Nightmare to Remember, which is a very strange one because it's sort of half good, half bad. It's so it starts off with a very uninspired riff that I think to kick the album off like this is a big mistake. It's just sort of like dun, 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 dun. It sounds tired, and they play it out for so long. It just doesn't work. But they make up for it with the "without warning, I am going like a bullet in the night." They make up for it with that. And then you got the clean section, which is really good. And then you got the wankery section, which is really good. And then you've got Mike Portnoy going, day after day and night after night. You got that afterwards, which this is why I like Black Clouds and Silver Linings, because it's so goofy and stupid that you got stuff like that. And then you got Mike Portnoy going, with these and then it goes into a genuinely really sick set of riffs. And then you got stuff like him trying to do blast beats and failing. Like some of the worst blast beats you've ever heard. This is why I love the album so much. It's so dumb and goofy, right? You got the Shattered Fortress, right? Which I love the 12-step suite, don't get me wrong. But I think the Shattered Fortress is just garbage. But funny garbage, right? Because it reinterpolates all the riffs that were in the previous set of songs. This Dying Soul, Glass Prison, the one that I can't remember the name of, and Repentance, right? And it concludes all of it by using them as leitmotifs, using all the riffs from those songs as leitmotifs in its new thing. And it just sounds so comical. It sounds so dumb, because there's stuff like, there's this one bit where Mike Portnoy is doing backing vocals where he'll just say shit like, kindness, courtesy, responsibility, like that. It's fucking hilarious, right? It's so funny. And the song is just all over the place, total mess. Worst song in this entire thing that I'm talking about. One of the worst songs they've ever done, in my opinion. It's just, it doesn't have any new ideas, and it takes all the old ideas and just makes them sound bad. And doesn't conclude the 12-step suite in any satisfying way. I don't like the song. I hesitate to say I hate the song, but I don't like the song. But the reason that I like Black Clouds and Silver Linings is because it's got these goofy moments, and the Shattered Fortress is the epitome of that. And after that we have The Best of Times, which really should not work. It really sounds like the Dream Theater that I don't like the sound of, but for some reason I like this song, right? It's 13 minutes, and really doesn't have any reason to be 13 minutes, but it starts off a really gorgeous instrumental the last 3 minutes, and then you've got the song itself proper, which is about 7 minutes, which again doesn't really have any business being that long. I think that bit section of all the singing could be about 5 minutes at most, and then you've got the solo, which is 3 minutes, which goes on for quite a long time, but I have to admit it is worth it, because it's one of the best solos that he's ever done. It's his comfortably numb moment, pretty much. Really great, and it just sort of shows off his melodic side and his technical proficiency, and how he's able to use the shredding and stuff in an interesting way. And yeah, then we're going to conclude this with the final song that I'm going to be talking about, which is The Count of Tuscany, which is probably my second favourite song after the Octavarium, and In the Name of God. Those three are my top three, right? And I love The Count of Tuscany, right? It's got the goofiness in the middle in the metal section, right? Where it's like, come into my cellar, all the finest wines, you know, all this sort of stuff. And the whole fact that it's a song about how John Petrucci felt a bit socially awkward one time. It's fantastic, right? And he's made a 20-minute song out of that. It's just a really good song. And it concludes in a really, really fun way with this really long instrumental passage that's very ambient, and then builds it back up with an acoustic guitar section, almost similar to how Octavarium starts, with It's Quiet passage leading into an acoustic guitar. I'm a sucker for ambient sections leading into acoustic guitars, doing strumming. I love that shit. More of that, way more of that, please. I love that kind of thing. So yeah. And then it concludes with one of the most epic sections of anything that they've ever done, with this really great guitar solo that leads into a really great sort of thing. and then that concludes with another sort of refrain of the original riff from way back at the start of the song, and it makes it all connect and feel cohesive in a way something like 6 Degrees from Inner Turbulence doesn't for me. So I really like in the Count of Tuscany. I really like In the Name of God, and I really like Octavarium. Those are my top 3, I would say. Yeah. But I like all the songs really in different ways. I appreciate them all. And I also like songs outside of the six album run. I just think that this 6 album run is perfect, right? Even though I've just listed loads of things that are wrong with it, right? I don't have any, I know I've just said I would change a load of things, but I think the fact that I feel like this is part of why I like it. It gets me to sort of have a bit of a critical eye, and it gets me to sort of feel like here's how it could have been. But if it was all exactly how I imagine it, right, I don't think I'd have been any happier. I would have asked it to be the way that it is now. So, you know, the grass is greener on the other side always, and it's fun to listen to things that are a little bit weird, because then you can have improvements to them, you know, and you can improve on stuff in live versions, which they do. The live versions of all these songs are fucking great. After each album they did a live album, and that's always a lot of fun. I like the studio album, live album, studio album, live album thing. Like 2004, so 2003 had an album, 2004 had a live album, 2005 had an album, 2006 had a live album, 2007 had an album, 2008 had a live album, 2009 had an album, and 2010 the band fell apart. And in 2011 there was an album, and then 2012 there wasn't, and then 2013 there was an album, and it wasn't very good. And then 3 years went by, and then they released one of the worst fucking albums ever in The Astonishing. And then they kind of came back a little bit with Distance Over Time and A View from the Top of the World, which I think if you combine those 2 albums, all the best songs from those 2 albums, like Fall Into Light, The Alien, Sleeping Giant, Untethered Angel, At Wit's End, if you combined all of that stuff into one album, I think that would be on par with some of the songs that with some of the albums I was talking about today. So, and then now Mike Portnoy's back, and I have to be honest, I don't like Parasomnia that much. It's good, Night Terrors is really good, it's totally Dream Theater by numbers, but it's really good. Then you've got Midnight Messiah, which I don't like, and then you've got the long track, the Shadow Man Incident, which is good. I don't love it, it's certainly no Count of Tuscany or anything like that. It's very heavy all the way through, and it almost just sort of feels like mind-numbing riff after riff after riff after riff. There's one really cool bit where it builds up and then does a keyboard piano like do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do thing, which I'm surprised they hadn't done yet. So yeah, that's me talking about Dream Theater, over and done with. I think I've spoken about it more than enough by now. I think this video's gone on for about 40 minutes, which I was not expecting. I was expecting this to be about 15 minutes at most, but yeah, 40 minutes. So yeah, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching. What's your favourite Dream Theater album? What's your favourite Dream Theater song? And what do you think of my picks? All right, fine, we'll rank them. We'll rank them as a conclusion, these 6 albums, right? Last, I would say 6 Degrees. Then 5th, Metropolis. Then 4th, Systematic Chaos. Then 3, ooh, that's where it gets hard. Black Clouds. Then 2 and 1, it's Train of Thought and Octavarium. So I'm going to put Octavarium second and Train of Thought first, because I think Train of Thought is a more consistent album. I just think that the track list could be adjusted, whereas Octavarium, there's a couple songs in it that I don't think are great, like Never Enough and The Answer Lies Within. I didn't mention The Answer Lies Within. You thought I'd forgotten about it, but I had, and so had you. Let's be real. It's the most forgettable, pointless song that they've ever made. Actually, that's a lie. They've made a lot of pointless songs like all of The Astonishing. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. Take care, and bye-bye. Leave your thoughts about this band in the comments below. And if you want me to do more stuff like this, let me know, and I will, because I quite enjoyed it, actually.